Good day, Kawani. Welcome to Equip Empowering Healthcare Workers through QMMC Universal Health Initiative Program, optimizing the service delivery network. As we continuously aim to strengthen our service delivery network by equipping primary and secondary healthcare facilities, Quirino Memorial Medical Center is inviting everyone to join our program, Health Today, and the title is Basic Burn Wound Care Management, the Art of Dressing. Our first presenter would be Mr. Jonathan Noriega.
Magandang araw mga kasama sa trabaho at mga bisita po natin ngayon sa ating presentation. Ako po si Jonathan Jan Noriega, isa pong nurse po dito sa Quirino Memorial Medical Center na naka-assign po sa burn unit, at ako po ay magsasalita or regarding sa topic na basic burn wound management and the art of dressing. Ang kasama ko po ay si Mr. Rogelio Sadjan Jr. Kami po ay naka-assign burn critical care unit po. So, sa ating pasimula, isang ting history lang po regarding sa ating burn unit. Ang ating burn unit ay in-establish noong May 12, 2005. So mag-ano na rin po tayo, magiging 20 taon na po tayong bukas na nagsiservisyo sa tao na aksidente or na paso at mga nasunog na aksidente po. So ang burn unit po natin ay kayang mag-handle ng kahit anong sunog or injury na natamo nila sa kanilang trabaho or sa kanilang bahay po. Meron po tayong census, naka-bed capacity na 9 po. Meron po tayong isang isolation area at may mga burn beds po tayong available, at kaya po natin, we can still cater po sa mga critical na patients po na nasunog po. So, as an introduction, according to WHO, burns are a global public health problem. It is the most common type of injury worldwide. Over 180,000 deaths occurs every year. And 90% of burns occur in low to middle income countries. So, bakit sa low to middle income countries po mostly nangyayari ang aksidente sa pagkasunog? Unlike po sa mga well-developed countries po na gumagamit na po ng robot at fully automated na po ang kanilang pagtatrabaho, ang mga low to middle income countries ay gumagamit pa po ng mano-mano or manual labor po. So they are most susceptible sa accidents. Burns can occur mainly at home or workplace. Ang mga susceptible nating ages are yung below 5 years old, and also yung mga more than 70 years old. Ang pinaka highest mortality na natatamo sa mga burn injuries po. Millions left with disabilities and disfigurement resulting in stigma. So kung may nakakasabay po tayong mga patient na parang yung may mga peklang na parang nag-keloids po, most likely burn injuries po siya. Kaya ang mga gantong injuries na nararanasan ng mga kababayan po natin ay nagiging permanent po, yung nag-iiba po talaga ang itsura ng mga tao pagka gumaling. And burns are preventable. Lahat po ng pagkasunog ay naiiwasan sa tamang pagkaalam o paano tayo magre-react sa mga sitwasyon na may mga sunog. So, magsisimula po tayo sa ozone disco fire. Dahil ito po ang pinaka-worst na aksidente na nangyari na madami po nasawi na mga Pilipino nung time nung 1990s po. So, ano po ba yung ozone disco? Ito po ay isang popular spot in Quezon City for students and young professionals in the mid-90s. It is located near the 11th Scout Jamboree Memorial Rotonda along Timbog Avenue. So, ngayon po kung pumisita po tayo doon ay makikita na lang po natin ay wala na po yung pinaka-disco po. Ano na lang po siya, yung tinatawag po na yung Buddha na restaurant po. The fire broke out just before midnight on March 18, 1996. There were around 350 patrons and 40 club employees inside the ozone disco by that time. So kung ma-imagine niyo po yung lugar na nung nakatayuan ng Buddha po, ma-imagine niyo ho na maliit lang po yung spasyo na kinatitirikan nung disco. At minsan magtataka po tayo, paano po nagkasya po yung lahat ng tao at mga gamit po doon sa isang lugar na yun. Most of the club guests were high school and college students attending graduation or end of school year celebration. So lahat po ng mga pumunta po nun ay nagse-celebrate lang po. Di po nila maalam na yun na lang po, hanggang doon na lang po yung buhay po nila. Survivors reported seeing sparks flying inside the disc jockey's booth, followed by a smoke. So, akala po ng mga tao doon sa loob ay yung sparks na nakikita nila ay kasama po sa presentation or yung po nung ozone disco. Kumbaga parang pa nila yun. Kala nila kasama doon sa party pa. Di po nila alam na iba na pala ho yung sinyalis na nangyayari po. So, pagkatapos po nung insidente po, bigla po naglihab yung area po, yung lugar. Mostly po yung mga tao nagpanic na po at pumunta po sa mga main entrance. Nag-stampede po sila at nung pagkatapos ng sunog, at least 162 people were dead. So ito po yung mga picture nung pagkatapos po ng sunog sa ozone disco fire. Kung i-imagine po natin na yung liit na lugar po na yun ay nagkasya po yung yung almost 400 people na tao na natrap po dun sa loob. Ito po yung last slide na picture po. Bago po siya gibain, ito na po yung itsura niya po. Matagal po na bakante po yung lugar. So, dito ngayon, malalaman po natin na kung saan po natin pwede itakbo ang mga pasyente na aksidenteng nasunog. So, number 1 po ay ang PGH or UPPGH na located po sa sa Manila po. Pangalawa po ay Jose Reyes Memorial Medical Center ay nasa Maynila rin po. Ang East Avenue Medical Center ay nasa Quezon City po. Quirino Memorial Medical Center, which is nasa Project 4, Quezon City po. Para sa mga taga Mindanao po, ang Southern Philippines Medical Center, which is located sa Davao. Then, bandang north po tayo ay Medical City Clark, Pampanga. Take note po, ang Medical City Clark, Pampanga ay private hospital po. Then yung Dr. Paulo J. Garcia Memorial Research and Medical Center sa Cabanatuan po. And sa Cebu po ay ang Vicente Soto Memorial Medical Center. Sila po yung mga hospital na may burn unit po sa Pilipinas ngayon. So ano po objectives natin sa ating seminar ngayon? Number 1 is to discuss key points in the initial assessment of acute burn injuries. Number 2, to be able to learn the nursing diagnosis and proper wound care management for burn injuries. Number 3 is to be able to determine the severity of burn and extent of burn. Number 4 is to be able to know the types of burn and types of dressings to be used sa burn injuries. Number 5 is to know the difference between acute and chronic wounds. So in here, we just discuss yung statistics regarding sa mga burn injuries na na-admit po dito sa Quirino Memorial Medical Center. So from 2016 to 2019, ito po yung census po natin na na-admit po dito. Ang pinakamarami pong year ng time ay is nung 2018, which we have 138 admissions. So, mostly lang na aksidente po ay lalaki, which comprises of 67.98%, followed by females with 32.02%. Then the most common burn injuries na na-admit po sa hospital natin is scalp burn or yung nabanlian po. Followed by yung flame burn or yung nasabugan ng apoy. Then yung electrical burn, which is 18.18%. So according to mortality rin po, mas lamang po ang lalaki. Bakit lamang po ang lalaki sa mga na-i-injure po or namamatay? Dahil po sa nature ng trabaho po ng mga lalaki at yung severity po na o kung gaano kagrabe po yung sugat na natatamo ng tao. Mostly ang mga na-aksidente na tao ay galing sa trabaho po. And followed by sa female na 32%. Mostly ng female ay nangyayari yung aksidente po or pagkasunog po nila sa bahay. So, dito po malalaman natin kung ano po yung mga causes ng pagkamatay ng pasyente. Ang pinakamalaki po ay flame burn or yung pagkasunog na 52%, followed by yung scalp burn o pagkabanli, 16%. Then yung electrical burn po natin o pagkakuryente, which is 14%. So dito, i-discuss po natin as a review po for healthcare professionals po natin ang anatomy and physiology, ang anatomy po na skin or ng balat ng tao. The skin is the largest organ of the body, which comprises of layers. So the first layer is the epidermis or the outermost layer. Siya po yung unang layer ng balat ng tao. Followed by yung dermis or the thickest layer of the skin. Then yung hypodermis or subcutaneous tissues where fats is deposited and stored. Take note po natin itong layers po natin dahil dito tayo mag-determine kung gaano kalalim ang sugat na natatamo ng nasunog na tao. So, ito po yung picture ng parts ng balat ng tao. Ano po ba function ng balat ng tao? Number one, it serves as a barrier to prevent infection and injury. Number two is regulation of body temperature. Number three, serve as a water barrier to prevent loss of body fluid. Number five, transmit sensory feedback from the environment. Number five is a cosmetic covering for personal identity. So, dito po, yung classification ng wounds natin ay i-discuss po natin ngayon. Wounds can be broadly classified as either acute or chronic based on the time from initial injury and progression through normal stages of wound healing. So, dalawa po ang classification ng wound natin. Is it acute or chronic wound? So, yung unang discussion po natin ay tatackle po natin is yung acute wound. An injury to the skin that occurs suddenly rather than over time. So, bigla ang sugat po to. Kung kunyari, tayo po ay nadapa, yun ay at may sugat, considered po siya acute wound. It heals at a predictable and expected rate of normal wound healing process and it takes a few weeks to heal. So, normal na paggaling po ang dinadaanan ng acute wound. Mostly, wala pang isang linggo, makikita nyo na po, tuyo na po yung sugat. Can occur anywhere on the body and vary from superficial scratches to deep wounds damaging blood vessels, nerves, and muscles. Chronic wounds do not progress normally through the stages of wound healing. A wound which fails to progress or progresses slowly through the stages of wound healing. So, kung may mapansin po kayong sugat na hindi gumagaling or matagal gumaling, it is considered as chronic wounds. Healing can be greater than 4 weeks or more. So, as long na tumatagal na po, di po siya natutuyo ng ilang linggo na po, it is considered as chronic wound. So, determining the severity of burns. So, number one, depth of burn o gaano kalalim ang sugat na natamo ng isang tao. Number two, ang letter B po natin ay extent of burn injury or gaano kalaki yung nadamay na sugat injury sa katawan ng tao. Area, size, or end length. So, burn depth, factors, or ano yung mga nangyayari, paano malaman natin, bakit tumalalim ang sugat ng tao. Number one is yung temperature. Gaano kainit or gaano kalamig ang natapat dun sa balat ng tao. Number two is yung duration of contact. Gaano katagal nadikit or may contact yung balat ng tao dun sa mainit or malamig na bagay na dumikit sa kanya. Number three, thermal thickness or gaano kakapal yung balat na naapekto. Number four is yung blood supply. Maganda po ba ang daloy ng dugo dun sa sugatang parte ng tao? Ito po ay isang video ng isang pasyente po natin dito sa Quirino Memorial Medical Center. Na-feature po tayo ng mga nakalipas na taon sa front row at ito po ay isang example lang po ng anong klaseng mga pasyente ang tinatanggap po natin dito sa burn unit ng Quirino Memorial Medical Center. Panoorin po natin.
Konti na lang. 1/8 na lang. Diba? Lagi naman. Ganda tayo. Ako si Annalisa Noten. Anak ko si MM, 2 taon at 5 buwan. And so, yung nangyari sa kanya, ganito po yun, parang, yun nga, nagtitinda ako ng merienda, nag-hatid-hatid. So, 1.5 akong nawawala sa bahay. Ayoko naligo.
Sandali lang, sandali lang, ha?
Talagay ko sa kanya, diretso uli akong magluto, nasa likod ko lang siya, kwentuhan din kami. Kasi hindi naman bantayan masyadong turon, tsaka lumpia. Tapos maya nung nanghingi ng tinidor. Gusto niya daw tinidor. Tapos sabi ko, hindi na. Sabi ko, huwag mo nang antamay mo na lang. Umiyak. Tapos sabi ko, sige, huwag kalikot dyan na, pasok si mama. Tapos sa pagpasok ko, ng pinto pa lang, siguro mga 3 steps from dun sa makbangaw dun sa may pintuan. Umiyak, nagsigaw ng mama. Bakit na, konti na lang. Nung paglingon ko, nakita ko siya na nakatalikod yung nakabagsak na yung bangko, tapos nandun siya sa likod. Tapos, takbo ako, inisip ko baka na yung record niya, tapos di ate ng sabi, may nakita ko siyang yung bumuhos yung arroz caldo sa kanya. Tapos talagang ang sigaw ko, Diyos ko po, bakit anong nangyari sa kanya? Tapos yun, binuhat ko siya, na sumisigaw ako, pumunta ako ng CR, tapos binuhusan ko siya ng tubig kasi nga puno siya ng arroz caldo. Yun. Okay, baby. Oh. Banlaw na banlaw. After ng paglabas namin siya, nagsisigaw na ako. Di lahat ng mga kapitbahay namin silabasan. Tapos yun nga, basta ako, taranta na ako. Pagbubad ko sa kanya, yung dibdib niya na lapnos. Tapos binalot ko siya ng towel. Tapos dadalhin ko nga sa hospital.
Lipid ka mamaya, ha?
Nung binuhusan ko siya, dahil di ba hanggang dito ng tubig, nung inalis ko yung bisida niya, sumama yung talaga, nalaknos talaga. So, talagang, di ko ma-explain how yung binubuhat ko siya talagang. Hindi na, bilisan ka na ni Kuya. Yun na, bibisan ka na ni lalagyan ka na ng damit. Tapos after nakita ko, punta kami, nag-tricycle. Tapos nakita ko ngayon, nakita ko talagang lapnos yung mukha. Tapos yung dito niya. Tapos dahil walang room yung para sa burn dun sa SDS, may kapatiran kami na dinala siya, yun nga si Deng at saka yung mag-asawang Deng at Aaron. Tapos dinala sila, nag-commute lang sila sa sasakyan nila. Instead na ambulance, yun na lang.
Pero yung mag-start na kami ngayon, i-change yung kanyang dressing ngayon. Yung sa dressing namin, may ina-apply kami doon na gamot, which is parang ointment siya na puti. And after malagyan namin yon, tatakpan namin siya ng dry na dressing. Tapos tsaka namin siya para maging intact. Ang ginagamit namin dito, yung roll was pampadikit. Topical na ng parish siya.
Gusto ko nga mamatay that time. Sabi ko, sana namatay na lang ako yung gano'n na hindi ko makita yung gano'n ng anak ko na parang ang hirap. Yung talagang mix emotion na halos gusto kong, ewan ko, parang gusto kong laslasin yung sarili ko. Ayoko na makita yung anak ko na gano'n. Kaya lang sabi ko, matapay anak ko, tapos sinisigaw niya yung mama. Sabi ko, pag ginawa ko yun, wala na, di ba? Parang ang mahirap. Kasi ano yan eh, for almost 18 years, ang tagal ko yung hintay yan, batang yan. Hiniling mo yan sa Lord. Kumbaga parang simpleng spoiled yung ginagawa ko sa kanila. Na parang kailangan nakatawa siya, laging ano. Kaya yan, batang yan, masayahin yan. Mabibo, hindi siya yung lahat ng tao pinapasaya niya talaga. Konti na lang. 1/8 na namatay na lang ako yung ganun na hindi ko makita yung ganun yung anak ko na parang ang hirap. Yung talagang mix emotion na halos gusto kong, ewan ko, parang gusto kong daslasin yung sarili ko na ayoko na makita yung anak ko na ganun. Kaya lang sabi ko, matapang yung anak ko, tapos sinisigaw niya yung mama. Sabi ko, pag ginawa ko yun, wala na, di ba? Parang ang mahirap. Kasi, ano yan eh, for almost 18 years, ang tagal ko yung hintay yan, batang yan. Hiniling ko yan sa Lord. Kumbaga, parang simpleng spoiled yung ginagawa ko sa kanila. Na parang kailangan nakatawa siya, laging ano. Kaya yan, batang yan, masayahin yan. Mabibo, hindi siya lahat ng tao pinapasaya niya talaga. Konti na lang.
So, ito po yung storya ng isang patient po natin. Nabanlian po na nahulog po naglalaro po yung patient po natin sa labas. Nagluluto po yung nanay ng arroz caldo. Nadapa po yung patient doon sa kaldero ng arroz caldo. Kaya yung buong muka at katawan po niya ay nabanlian. So, ang pasyente po natin ay bata. Ang pinakamasakit po doon, unika iha pa ho siya. Kumbaga matagal ho hinintay ng magulang na dumating siya at nangyari lang po yung aksidente. Aksidenteng dapat sana naiwasan. Pero nandito po tayo na para tulungan po yung pasyente po natin ng mga nasunog. Kaya po siya dinala po dito. So, siya po yung isa sa mga example ng mga pasyente po dito na dinadala sa burn unit. Ngayon po, didiscuss po natin kung ano po ba yung mga yung mga sinasabi nilang first degree, second degree, at third degree burn. So, superficial burns or yung tinatawag po nating first degree burn. Ang first degree burn is it indicates the destruction of the epidermis resulting local pain and redness. Ang example po natin dito ay yung sunburn. So ngayon, lahat po tayo ay nasa sunburn po dahil sobrang init po sa labas ngayon. So, di po natin namamalayan na nababurn na ho pala tayo. So, first degree burn po. Pero itong burn po nito ay namumula lang po yung first layer po, which is yung epidermis po natin. So sa paggamot po nito, wala naman pong treatment, lagyan lang po ng lotion. Kung extreme po yung pagka-sunburn po natin, ay pwede po natin dalhin sa doktor para bigyan po tayo ng lunas or parang gamot na para do sa kirot. Usually, these kinds of wounds are healed within a week. Then followed by yung tinatawag po nating second degree burn or sa medical term is yung partial thickness burns. It categorized into superficial partial thickness burns or deep partial thickness burns. It involves the epidermis and part of the dermis. So medyo lumalalim na po yung sugat na natamo ng nasunog na tao. So, 2 layer na po ng balat. Kung kanina diniscuss natin yung layers ng balat, ito na po yung nadadamay na parte ng balat. Kaya lumalalim po yung sugat. Reepithelialization is greatly retarded. So, medyo matagal po gumaling ang mga ganitong sunog. healing occurs in 21 to 35 days at with scarring. So, highly chance na may peklat na matatamo ang injured na tao. Superficial partial thickness burns, ang makikita niyo po sa mga ganitong sugat ay red to pink at masa-masa. Meron din po siyang tawag dito, ang tawag na dito ay paltos at sobrang sakit po. Healing is complete but requires extended time to occur. So medyo matagal po gumaling ang mga ganitong sugat. Another term is yung deep partial thickness burn. So mga ganitong karakteristik ng ganitong sugat ay mottled white to red. Di po siya nagpapaltos. Requires operation or tinatawag natin skin grafting. Skin grafting is yung kukuha tayo ng balat ng pasyente at itatapal dun sa injured site ng nasunog na tao. Prolonged periods of recovery. So, mga ganitong sugat ay matagal pong nag-i-stay dito sa ospital or matagal po ang paggaling. Full thickness burns or yung third degree burns, common in flame and electrical burns. Wounds are, yung characteristics niya po ay brown to black na parang leather po na yung sugat or yung balat ng tao. Painless, wala na pong nararamdamang sakit dahil nasira na po yung nerve endings ng tao. Surgical treatment is recommended. So, kailangan maoperahan ang gintong injury ng nasunog na tao. So, kung napapansin niyo po, inihiwaan po yung balat ng taong nagtamo ng third degree burn. At kailangan tanggalin po yung mga patay na balat. Fourth degree burns. Injuries to deeper tissues such as muscles, tendons, or bone. So, ito po yung tinatawag na mga injuries na tumatagos na po hanggang buto. Burn is often black and frequently leads to loss of burn part area. So, mga ganitong sugat na natamo ng mga tao, may mga chance, malaki po ang chance po na putulin o tanggalin na po yung patay na parte or yung for example, na kuryente po yung tao at nakita po ng doktor na nangingitim na po yung kamay ng tao, most likely ay iaano na po ng doktor na tanggalin na lang po kesa po magkaroon pa ng infeksyon sa katawan ng tao dahil dun sa balat na, dun sa patay na parte ng tao. Causes permanent damage to affected areas requiring to amputation. So, in-amputate na po yung patay na parte ng tao. So, time concept. Bakit po ba, ito po yung ginagamit natin na para gumaling ang sugat ng tao. Mostly ngayon, ang sugat ng tao ay may mabilis na pong gumaling dahil ito po ang ginagamit ng mga doktor na kumbaga steps na preparation para gumaling ang sugat ng tao. Once na ma-eliminate or tanggalin natin yung magiging mga hadlang dun sa mga sugat, paggaling na sugat, mas mabilis pong mag-recover ang mga burn patient po natin. So ang time concept ay may acronym po yan. So by definition, it is the management of a wound aimed at facilitating endogenous healing or enhanced effectiveness through therapeutic measures. It focuses on holistic patient assessment utilizing a systemic approach to evaluate and eliminate barriers of healing. A systemic approach of wound bed preparation process aims at creating an optimal environment by establishing vascularized and stable wound bed within a moist environment. It encourages effective clinical decision, making the best clinical actions to support wound bed preparation. Kung tayo po napapansin natin, ngayon madami pong ginagawang kalye. Yung mga sirang kalye natin, bago gawin yun, may mga proseso ang mga engineering or DPWH, paano nila patitibayin o pagagandahin yung kalye. So, ganun din po ang mga doktor. Ang pag-approach natin sa sugat ay may mga proseso na dapat sundin or dapat i-maintain para mas maganda at mabilis ang paggaling ng sugat ng tao. So, components of wound bed preparation. So, dito na po yung acronym na time concept. T stands for tissue debridement and removal of slotty and necrotic tissue. So, dito, kailangan na pong tanggalin or tanggalin yung mga patay or yung mga sunog na balat ng tao para mas mabilis gumaling ang sugat ng tao. I stands for infection control and bacterial bioburden management, or dito po tayo nagbibigay ng mga antibiotics or yung mga pantapal na sugat natin na may halo antibiotic para maiwasan po ang infection dun sa sugat. Yung M it stands for moisture balance. So, ang sugat po natin, di dapat natin di ba ang example po natin, nung bata po tayo ay ang sugat na natamo natin, sasabihin ng mga matatanda, hayaan mo lang nakabukas at hayaan mo na hangin para matuyo. Pero ang mapapansin nyo, natutuyo yung ibabaw lang po. Meron po siya yung tinatag na scabs. Pero once na binubulat-lat po natin, nung bata po tayo, makikita niyo po yung ilalim niya, hindi pa ho tuyo at sugat pa rin ho. So dito, ang approach ng mga doktor natin ay tinatapalan po ng mga advanced dressing or kino-cover po talaga natin ang sugat para mas mabilis at mas maganda. Maging pantay po yung paggaling ng tao. Mas mabilis. Kasi kailangan natin na i-balance yung moisture o yung parang pagkabasa ng sugat ng tao. Too much moisture, hindi rin maganda. Too much dry naman po, hindi rin po maganda. So, babalance po natin. E stands for yung epidermal advancement or edge of wound management. So, yung epidermal advancement or edge of wound management is yung hinahayaan natin, pinapaliit po natin yung sugat ng tao paunti-unti. Kumbaga, meron tayo dito sa burn unit, meron po tayong mga dressing na ina-apply na hindi na po araw-araw kailangan palitan yung sugat para hindi po siya yung nagagalaw or yung nare-injure yung sugat ng tao. Kung hindi natin masyadong ginagalaw or yung sugat, unti-unti po siyang lumiliit hanggang sa magsarado na po. Then yung S po is yung scar formation management. So, hindi porke gumating yung sugat, okay na po tayo. Iniisip na rin po natin is yung pagkapeklat ng sugat. So, dito sa hospital natin, meron po tayong nilalagay na compression garments para hindi tawag dito yung inaano natin, yung umalsa yung sugat or yung peklat ng tao. So, these are the types of wound beds na na-encounter natin sa burn unit. So, number 1 is yung necrotic tissue or yung eschar. It is characterized by dead or devitalized tissues, must be removed for wound healing to commence. So ito yung nakikita nyo na leather, parang balat ng sa wallet po. Ganyan po itsura ng scar, nangingitim na po. Yan yung kailangan pong tanggalin ng mga patay na balat sa burn na aksidente. Number 2 po is yung snotty tissue or devitalized tissue. Creamy yellow, black, or brown in appearance, found dehydrated or adhered to wound beds or loose, stringy when associated with moisture. So ito po yung parang keso po yung itsura ng sugat ng tao. Pagka ginalaw mo siya, parang lusaw na balat. Yan po ang tinatawag na snotty tissue. Then, yung granulating tissue, a positive indicator that wound healing is underway, characterized by a dense network of blood vessels, new capillary looping together on the wound, needs protection from damage. So, dito natin mapapansin na basta ganito ang itsura na sugat ng tao ay unti-unti na po, liliit po yan hanggang sa magsarado na ang sugat ng tao. Dapat po, lagi nakakover po to para hindi po siya mapasukan ng dumi at ng mga langaw para hindi ma-infect. Then, yung isang epithelializing tissue slowly grows over the wound bed, providing a natural barrier marking the beginning of the final stage of wound healing. Immigrates from the edges of the wound, hair follicles, sebaceous and sweat glands across the granulation tissue until it closes. So, yung granulation tissue, dapat maging ganito na po, paliit na po na paliit yung sugat hanggang sa magsarado na po. Basta ganito na po yung itsura ng sugat, ito na po yung epithelializing na tissue. So, ano ba objective ng time concept? Time concept is to hydrate, to debride, to protect, to manage pain, to manage exudates, to encourage granulation, to aid in epithelialization, to reduce bioburden, and to minimize scar formation or control yung scar formation. So, by this, once na na-achieve natin ang mga tamang proseso ng sugat, mas mabilis po ang paggaling ng sugat ng taong nasunog. So here are yung mga medical treatments na ginagawa sa mga taong nasunog. Number 1 is skin grafting. Ito po yung sinabi natin na kukuha po tayo ng balat ng tao na nasunog, ililipat lang po natin dun sa nasunog na parte ng balat. Devitalized skin is removed and replaced with new healthy skin harvested from a non-injured site. So, kumbaga, tinatapa lang po natin para mas mabilis gumaling ang sugat ng tao. So, ngayon, paano ba natin malalaman ang extent ng burn injury or yung tinatawag natin total body surface area? Extent of burn is commonly estimated using a body diagram, the rules of 9. So yung mga kasama nating nurses, medyo familiar po dito. Rules of 9. An alternative method is the use of palm. Or gagamitin natin yung kamay or yung palad ng nasunog na tao para malaman natin kung gaano kalaki yung sunog ng tao. Then yung Loden-Brother method is the most precise estimate of burn. Usually, itong Loden-Brother is ginagamit po ng doktor dito po sa hospital. So, rules of 9. The quick way to estimate extent of burn through dividing the body into multiples of 9. So, always remember yung graph dito, meron po siyang assigned na number na divisible by 9. Yung percentage nung nasunog ng tao. So each arm is 9%, each leg is 18%, the front of the torso is 18%, the back of the torso is 18%, head and neck are 9%, and the perineum or yung genital part ng tao is 1%. Kung in-adapt nyo po sila, magiging 100% po siya. Sa mga bata, modified due to a larger head proportionate. Each arm is 9 and legs is 14% and front and back are 18% and the head is 18%. London-Browder chart is considered the golden standard in burn surface area calculation. This method recognizes the percentage of a surface area of various autonomic parts, especially the head, legs, and as it relates to the age of the patient. So, doktor po ang gumagamit mo nito. Meron po silang chart at doon nila ma-determine kung ilang percent po ang nasunog na balat ng tao. So, ito po yung sample chart po nung London-Browder na ginagamit po ng doktor. Rule of palm. Rule of palms, ito po yung sinasabi po natin kanina na gagamit po tayo ng palad ng biktima or yung nasunog na tao. Hindi po yung balat po ng nurse or kung sino po yung magre-rescue po. So, uses the hand and the entire palmar surface. Ito po ay ginagamit lang po para sa mga total body surface area na injured na less than 15%. Mabilisan lang po ito para at least meron lang tayong estimated na tawag dito na percentage yung injury ng tao. So, salamat po sa pakikinig at magandang araw po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, Mr. Jonathan Noriega, for that insightful presentation on basic wound care and the art of dressing. Good day, everyone. My name is Rogelio Sadjan Jr. I am honored to continue our session today. Building up the foundations laid by Mr. Noriega, I hope to further enrich our understanding and practical approach to wound care. So my objective here would be to know the phases of burn, to know the initial management and treatment of burn, what are the types of burn, and what are the different advanced dressings used in Quirino Memorial Medical Center. So burn management is typically divided into 3 phases: the emergent phase, the intermediate phase or the acute phase, and the rehabilitative phase. So here, the emergent phase, it begins at the time of injury and lasts up to 72 hours. It focuses on life-saving interventions such as airway management, fluid resuscitation, and preventing shock and infection. So the priority here involves maintaining an adequate airway and treating for burn shocks. So the sodium, potassium, and glucose are commonly affected. So there would be a low sodium, high potassium, and high glucose. The intermediate phase or the acute phase, it starts about 48 to 72 hours after burn. So it starts once the patient is stabilized and continues until the wounds are closed, emphasizing wound care, infection control, and pain management. Attention is directed towards continued assessment and maintenance, prevention and treatment, including nutrition support. So we have to give the patient high calorie, high potassium, and high carbohydrates. And of course, wound management. Finally, the rehabilitative phase. So rehabilitative phase involves restoring functions and appearance through physical therapy, emotional support, and possible reconstructive surgery, aiming to help the patient return to their normal life. So each phases plays a vital role in the recovery and long-term outcomes of burn patients. Next would be the initial management and treatment of burn. So first, we do the assessment. So in assessing our patient, we do the primary survey. So this would be airway. So we have to assess for the airway, breathing, circulation, cervical spine immobilization, cardiac status, disability, deficit, neurologic, expose and examine, and fluid resuscitation. So in airway, we do the direct inspection by using direct laryngoscopy. So we have to assess for erythema, singed nasal hair, swelling, soot, and actual mucosal burns. We also have to assess for signs of smoke inhalation and pulmonary damage. So if there's a compromised airway, we do the chin thrust, jaw lift, and oral pharyngeal airway in the unconscious patient. We also have to give high flow oxygen. It is started at 100% FiO2, and we use the non-rebreather bag. We also have to assess for endotracheal intubation. And we also have to maintain inline cervical immobilization in patient at risk. For breathing, listen, verify for breath sounds in both lung fields. We have to assess for rate and depth of respiration. We also have to administer humidified 100% oxygen, do not decrease. We also have to monitor chest wall excursion in presence of deep torso burns. For circumferential full thickness burns of the upper trunk, we do the escharotomy. So what are the factors suggesting inhalation injury? If the victim of fire in closed space, flame burn of face, nose, or mouth, singed nasal hair. So parang ito po yung, pag nakita mo yung hair sa ilong, parang kulot-kulot, parang nasunog. Soot in nose, mouth, pharynx, or sputum. Hoarseness, cough, wheeze, and dyspnea. Hypoxemia or carboxyhemoglobin on admission. So the gold standard for diagnosis of inhalation injury would be fiber optic bronchoscopy. A bronchoscope is used to view the airways and check for any abnormalities. For endotracheal intubation, it is performed for expected swelling of upper airway or for before occlusions of airway. For circulation, we have to monitor the urine output. If less than 30 cc per hour, we have to notify the doctor or the physician. We also have to monitor for the pulse rate, blood pressure, skin color. For peripheral, if there's a compartment syndrome, we have to assess for pain, paresthesia,
pallor, pallor, and pulselessness. For systemic circulation, we have to start IV lines. So we have to use 2 large bore IV cannulas. We also have to use the peripheral line, if possible, not in burn areas. And we also have to insert Foley catheter. For disability or neurological deficit, we have to assess for the level of consciousness. We have to assess for alertness, response to verbal stimuli, response to painful stimuli, and if the patient is unresponsive. For exposed environmental control, we have to remove all clothing and jewelry like rings and watches. We also have to remove wet clothings or wet dressings or linen. Maintain patient's temperature using warm room, warm IV fluids, and always keep the patients covered with dry sheets and warm blankets. For fluid resuscitation formula, in our institution, we use the Parkland formula, which is lactated bringers 4 cc times kilograms times percent burn. So this is an example of Parkland formula, 4 ml times kilograms body weight times the percentage of total body surface area. So 1/2 or 50% of it will be given for the first 8 hours, and the other half will be given for the next 16 hours. An example of this, weight of patient is 65 kilograms, and the total body surface area is 40%. So 4 ml, which is constant, times the 65 kilograms body weight times the total body surface area, which is 40%, that is equivalent to 10,400 ml. So half of the 10,400 ml, which is 5,200 ml, you have to divide that into for the first 8 hours and the 16 hours. So for the first 8 hours, it is equivalent to 650 cc per hour for the next 8 hours. So you're going to infuse 60 cc per hour for the next 8 hours, and the other half for the next 16 hours, it would be 325 cc per hour. For the secondary survey, we have to know the circumstances of injury and the time of injury. So we have to know the cause of burn. Did injury occur in a closed space? Is there a possibility of smoke inhalation? Were chemicals involved? Was there related trauma? In medical history, we have to know if the patient has allergies. We also have to know kung anong gamot ang tinitake ng pasyente. Like, for example, kung meron ba siyang pang high blood for diabetes. Or we also have to know kung merong previous illness ang pasyente or past medical history. Tulad, for example, na stroke na pala yung patient before. Ano yung kanyang last meal or drink? What are the events preceding the injury? At kung meron na ba siyang history ng tetanus immunization. Next would be management principles. So first, stop the burning process. Next is universal precaution. Next would be airway management, circulatory management, insertion of NGT, insertions of Foley catheter, relief of pain, so by giving IV morphine, assess extremity pulses regularly, assess for ventilatory limitation, and provide emotional support. So next I'm going to discuss is the types of burns. So what are the types of burns? First would be the scald burn. So scald burn is the most common type, which is caused by something wet, such as hot water or boiling water or steam. And these are common type of thermal burns suffered by children. So the Management for treating burns of scald would be cool the burn with cool or lukewarm running water for 20 minutes. So do not use ice or ice water or any creams or greasy substances tulad ng butter or toothpaste. Usually kalamitan sa atin, lalo na yung bata nga ako, every time nababurn, ang ginagamit namin would be Colgate. So never use Colgate or butter for that. So treating burns for scald, also carefully remove any clothing or jewelry, but don't move anything that's stuck to the skin. Also remove rings, belts, watches, shoes to prevent swelling. So cover the injured area with a clean covering and take the casualty to a hospital immediately. So next would be, ano ba yung mga kagamitan na pwede nating gamitin for dressing? So these are the materials for dressing. We can use the thick gauze, the thin gauze, if you have scissor. You can also use roll gauze, elastic bandage. If you have in your institution, you can also use tubular elastic bandage. And also, of course, yung pinakaano kalimitan po, we can also use micropore. So for the soap, I would suggest that Hibiclens or chlorhexidine gluconate, and of course, silver sulfadiazine. You can also use advanced wound dressing if you have. And for cleansing, we can also use the 0.9% sodium chloride. So here we have a video on how to dress a patient using silver sulfadiazine.
So these are the materials. So first, lilinisin po muna natin siya. Then we will add the silver sulfadiazine doon po sa thin gauze. So make sure lang po pag naglalagay po tayo, parang sandwich dressing po siya. So parang yung kapal po, parang sandwich, ano lang po kayo ng sandwich. Then ipapatong po natin siya doon sa affected area. Then after that, maglalagay na po tayo ng dry gauze. Then we can also use the roll gauze. So depende lang po, you can use either roll gauze or elastic bandage. Pwede rin naman po tayong gumamit din po ng micropore kung sakasakaling wala po kayong elastic bandage or roll gauze. So ang dressing po natin dito ay wet to dry dressing po.
Okay, so next, the second most common type of burn would be flame burns. It results when individual is exposed to open fire. Example of this would be burning gas, fuel, fire from a lighter. So management for flame burn would be put out any fire or flames. The common advice is to stop, drop, and roll to put out flames on your clothing. Remove hot or burnt clothing if possible. Cool the injured area with water, not ice, within 30 seconds. Cover the injured area with clean covering. And take the casualty to the nearest hospital. Next would be contact burns. So contact burns are burn caused by touching a hot object such as hot pan, usually accident in the kitchen. Next would be electrical burns. A tissue injury caused by contact with an electric current, such as live wire or lightning, can cause systemic injury. Low voltage versus high voltage burns. Electricity can affect internal tissues and muscles and have long-term negative effects on your health. First aid for electrical burns would be turn off the source of electricity if possible. Begin CPR if the person shows no signs of circulation, such as breathing, coughing, or movement. Try to prevent the injured person from becoming chilled. Apply a bandage and take the casualty to the nearest hospital immediately. Next would be radiation burns. So radiation burns is caused by ultraviolet rays, X-rays, or radiation therapy to treat cancer. Can be as simple as small burns, but it can also encompass more severe cases like radiation dermatitis caused by ionizing radiation. Next is chemical burns. Are tissue damage caused by strong acid, drain cleaners, paint thinners, gasoline, and many other substances. Occurs when your skin or eyes come in contact with an irritant such as acid or a base. So first aid for chemical burn would be rinse the chemical off the skin or eyes with cool, gently running water for at least 20 minutes. Remove any contaminated clothing and jewelry, and gently wrap the burn area with dry sterile gauze or clean cloth if available, and take the casualty to a doctor or hospital. Next is friction burn. So when a hard object rubs off some of your skin, or occurs when skin is scraped off by contact with some hard object. It's both abrasion and a heat burn. So these are common in motorcycles and bike accident. Next would be cold burns, which is wala to sa atin. Usually to po nagkakaroon po ito sa mga may mga country na mayroong snow. So it is also called frostbite. It happens when your skin comes into direct with something very cold for a prolonged period of time. So cold burns cause damage to your skin by freezing it. So kung like for example, naka-experience na ba kayo ng dry ice, or for example, hinawakan ninyo yung matagal ang yelo, diba pag hinawakan ninyo yung matagal ng yelo, napakasakit. So next would be flash burn. So flash burn would be burn injury caused by explosion of any flammable gas or liquid or strong thermal radiation. Intense flashes of light, high voltage. It also caused by momentary exposure to intense radiant heat, as from electrical discharges or explosion. Example of this is gas tank or LPG explosion. So next, this video actually is the video from our institution, the Burn Critical Care Unit. So I will show you a little bit of our burn unit in our institution. So this is our OPD, outpatient department. So we have an outpatient department. Aside from that, we also have our own dressing area. So this is the inpatient. We have a 9-bed capacity. So we have 1 bed for isolation. We have 4 beds for critical care patients. And also we have 4 beds for ward patient. So this is our isolation room. Our nurse station. our dressing area, of course, our operating room. This is an example of bedside dressing of one of our patients. So this is our operating room again. These are the staff of burn unit. So next, I'm going to discuss about the dressing types for burns. So these are available in our institution. So the types of dressing used in our hospital are hydrocolloids, foam dressing, hydrogels, hydrofibers, paraffin or petroleum gauzes, and burn ointment and cream. So hydrocolloid dressing, this contains colloidal particles such as gelatin, pectin, and cellulose. It provides a moist and insulating healing environment, which protects uninfected wounds while allowing the body's own enzymes to heal or to help heal wounds. It has a very adhesive film or foam backing up as well as being impermeable to water vapor. So these are the example. Next is foam dressing. These are designed from semi-permeable polyurethane, non-adherent and non-linting materials that meet the main goals of wound care, creating a moist environment. It is conducive to wound healing and allows water vapor to enter but keeps bacteria and contaminants out. So an example of this, next would be hydrogel. So hydrogel consists of 90% water in a gel base, according to the medical journal Applebites, and serves to help monitor fluid exchange from within the wound surface. It assists in protecting your body from wound infection and promotes efficient healing. Next would be hydrofiber dressing. It's a moisture retention dressing that consists of soft, non-woven sodium carboxymethyl cellulose fibers, which forms a gel on contact with wound fluid. The gel promotes a moist wound healing environment, yet retains wound exudates by vertical absorption. Next would be paraffin or petroleum gauzes. It's a mixture of hydrocarbons derived from petroleum and coal. The paraffin gauze dressing is non-adherent, non-allergenic, and sterilized, which helps in speedy recovery of wounds used in treatment of ulcers, burns, skin grafts, and various traumatic injury. Example of this, yan po. So in our institution, we also have Bactigras or Bactigra. Next would be burn ointment or cream. It provides protections against infection or keep the wound moist by applying ointment on the burn area. Example of this are mupirocin. We also have burn Mebo ointment. We also have silver. We also use silver sulfadiazine and flamacerium. Another thing is we also have negative pressure wound therapy in our institutions. So what is negative pressure wound therapy? It is also called vacuum-assisted wound closure. It refers to wound dressing system that continuously or intermittently applied subatmospheric pressure to the system, which provides a positive pressure to the surface of a wound. So what are the indications for the use of MPWT? It is used for chronic, acute, traumatic, subacute, and dehisced wound. It can also be used for partial thickness burn. This is also used for ulcers, like for diabetic, venous, and arterial. It is also used for pressure injuries, skin flaps and grafts, and in some cases, fistulae. So what is the purpose of a VAC? It helps bring the edges of your wound together. It also removes fluid and dead tissue from the wound area, and it can help tissue grow faster. So negative pressure wound vac supplies are canister, dressing like example foam, drainage tubings, hydrocolloid or adhesive film dressing tubing with quick connect, and MPWT machine or vacuum pump. So here's a video of MPWT. So hindi na siya mapakita. So next, I'm just going to give you the summary of negative pressure wound therapy. So negative pressure wound therapy is a medical treatment that uses a vacuum dressing to promote healing in acute and chronic wounds. It involves applying controlled negative pressure to the wound through a sterile dressings connected to a pump that creates suction. This suction helps remove excess fluid, reduces edema, and enhances blood flow to the area, promoting tissue growth and wound closure. MPWT is commonly used for wounds such as diabetic ulcers, pressure sores, and surgical incisions, and has been shown to speed up healing and reduce the risk of infection. So next would be the basic wound care management for burn. So what are the care plans and management? So the nursing care planning goals for a patient with a burn injury includes pain management, infection prevention, wound care, nutritional support, psychological support, and promoting mobility and rehabilitation. The overall goal is to provide comprehensive care that addresses the patient's physical, emotional, and psychological needs to promote healing, prevent complication, and promote recovery. So the nursing problem priorities would be ensure and maintain a clear airway and adequate breathing, administer appropriate fluid resuscitation to prevent dehydration and shock, provide effective pain management, implement infection control measures to prevent wound and systemic infections, assess and manage burn wounds to promote healing, and to provide necessary nutritional support to meet increased metabolic demands. So the nursing assessment here would be assess for the following subjective and objective data. This includes redness or discolorations of the skin at the burn site, pain or tenderness at the burn site, swelling or blister formation, peeling or shredding of the skin, the presence of open wounds or raw skin, the charred or blackened skin in severe burns. Difficulty breathing or coughing if the burn involves the airways, nausea or vomiting, weakness or dizziness, increased heart rate, decreased urine output, signs of infection such as increased redness, swelling, or pus, change in mental status or confusion, and smoke inhalation related symptoms such as hoarseness, cough, or difficulty in swallowing. So the nursing diagnosis for burn injury are impaired physical mobility, disturbed body image, fear, anxiety, impaired skin integrity, imbalanced nutrition, less than body requirements, risk for ineffective tissue perfusion, acute pain, risk for infection, and risk for ineffective airway clearance. So the nursing interventions and action would be, number one is improving physical mobility, improving body image and self-esteem, improving airway clearance, minimizing fear and anxiety, providing wound care and improving skin integrity, maintaining adequate nutrition, minimizing pain and providing comfort, preventing infection, initiating patients' education and health teaching, and managing fluid volume. So first, we're going to discuss is the improving physical mobility. So as a nurse, we have to maintain proper alignment with support or spins, especially for burns over joints. Perform range of motion exercises consistently, initially passive, then active. We have to encourage patients' participation in all activities as individually able. Encourage family or significant other support and assistance with range of motion exercises. Medicate for pain before activity or exercise. Schedule treatments and care activities to provide periods of uninterrupted rest. And initiate the rehabilitative phase on admission. Next is improving body image and self-esteem. So we have to provide hope within the parameters of individual situation. We have to acknowledge and accept the expressions of feelings of frustration, dependency, anger, grief, and hostility. We have to set limits on maladaptive behavior. So we have to maintain a non-judgmental attitude while giving care and help the patient identify positive behaviors that will aid in recovery. We should also be realistic and positive during treatments in health teachings and in setting goals within limitation. And we also have to encourage the patient and significant others to view wounds and assist with care as appropriate. Next would be improving airway clearance. So we have to assess the patient's airway, breathing, and circulation. We also have to monitor respiratory rate, rhythm, and depth. So we have to note the presence of pallor or cyanosis and carbonaceous or pink tinged sputum. We also have to auscultate lungs, noting for stridors, wheezing or crackles, or diminished breath sounds and brassy cough. We also have to investigate in changes in behavior augmentations, restlessness, agitation, and altered level of consciousness. We also have to elevate the head of the bed, avoid the use of pillow under the head as indicated. We also have to suction if necessary, with extreme care, maintaining a sterile technique. Next would be minimizing fear and anxiety. We have to assess for the mental status, including mood and affect, comprehensions of events and content of thoughts. We also have to identify the previous methods of coping and handling stressful situation. We also have to demonstrate a willingness to listen and talk to patients when free or of painful procedures. We also have to involve the patient and the significant others in the decision-making process whenever possible. So we have to provide time for questioning and repetitions of proposed treatments. We have to create a restful environment and use guided imagery and relaxation exercises. And be empathetic and non-judgmental in dealing with patients and families. Next is providing wound care and improving skin integrity. So here we have to assess and document the size, color, and depth of the wound, noting necrotic tissue and the conditions of the surrounding skin. We also have to provide, of course, the appropriate burn care and infection control measures. We have to maintain wound covering as indicated. We also have to elevate grafted area if possible, maintain desired position and immobility of area when indicated, and keep skin free from pressure. Next is maintaining adequate nutrition. So asserting foods like and dislikes. We have to encourage significant others to bring food from home as appropriate. We also have to maintain a strict calorie count, weigh daily, reassess the percentage of open body surface area and wounds weekly. We also have to provide small and frequent meals and snacks. We have to encourage the patient to make food or beverage choices high in calories and proteins and high carbohydrates. We have to encourage the patients to sit up for meals. We also have to provide oral hygiene before meals and refer to a dietitian or nutrition support team. Next would be minimizing pain and providing comfort. We have to assess and reports for pain, noting location and character and intensity. So there would be 0 to 10 scale. We also have to change position frequently and assist with active and passive range of motion as indicated. We also have to maintain comfortable environmental temperature. So we have to provide heat lamps and heat retaining body coverings. We also have to provide medication and or place in hydrotherapy as appropriate before performing dressing changes and debridement. And we also have to administer analgesic as prescribed by the doctor. We also have to provide diversional activities appropriate for age and condition. And we have to promote uninterrupted sleep periods. Next would be preventing infection. So we have to examine wound daily and note and document changes in appearance, odor, or quantity of drainage. We have to implement appropriate isolation technique as indicated. Emphasize and model good hand washing techniques for all individuals coming in contact with patient. Use gowns, gloves, masks, and strict aseptic technique during direct wound care. Monitor and or limit visitor if necessary. We also have to shave or clip all hairs from around burn areas to include a 1-inch border excluding eyebrows, shave facial hair for men, and shampoo head daily. Next is initiating patients' education and health teachings. So we have to emphasize the importance of sustained intake of high protein and high calorie meals and snacks. We also have to stress the importance of follow-up care and rehabilitation. We have to provide the phone numbers of a contact person. We have to review the medication, including purpose, dosage, route, and expected and or reportable side effects. Discuss skincare. So we have to teach them proper use of moisturizer, sunscreen, and anti-itching medication. We also have to discuss the patient's expectations of returning home, to work, and to normal activities, and to encourage continuations of the prescribed exercise program and scheduled rest periods. And lastly, managing fluid volume. So we have to monitor urinary output in specific gravity, estimate wound drainage and insensible losses, weigh daily, evaluate changes in mentation, maintain a cumulative record of the amount and types of fluid intake. We have to insert and maintain an indwelling urinary catheter, insert and maintain a large bore IV catheters. So before I end this presentation, I would like to give you some holistic management saying that don't look at the whole, but at the whole. So maraming salamat po sa pakikinig.
So before we move on, I'd like to open the floor for any questions. If you have any you'd like to ask or clarify, whether it's about burn management, dressing techniques, or anything we've discussed so far, so please feel free to unmute yourself or drop your questions in the chat box. So may mga questions po ba kayo regarding doon po sa ating presentation about burn management? May question? So kung wala pong questions or if you have any other questions, pwede naman po, feel free, pwede niyo po kaming puntahan po sa Burn Critical Care Unit. You can talk to or you can ask Mr. Jonathan Noriega or ako po, yours truly, Rogelio Sadjan, doon po sa Burn. So all right, everyone. So that brings us to the end of today's sessions on burn wound management and the art of dressing. I hope this lecture provided valuable insights and provided approaches that you can apply in your clinical practice. So thank you all so much for your time, attention, and active participation through the session. Your engagement really make this meaningful learning experience. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out after the session. Then once again, thank you for attending and I wish you all the best. Regarding po doon sa ating pong lecture or para doon sa certificate, doon po sa chat box, makikita po niyo doon yung link. Tapos answer na lang po yung in from Petro po. Maraming salamat po.